We are talking Tide, and we're talking Tide playing in the SEC this Saturday night in Nashville against a Vanderbilt team that is undefeated, matching Bama with a perfect 3-0 record. We bring in Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama to help us break down the Tide as we approach SEC play. Stephen, how are you tonight?
Doing good. Getting ready for Alabama Vanderbilt. It's crazy to think that Vanderbilt's 3-0 right now and playing an Alabama team that's 3-0, and CBS is getting this game, so all eyeballs will be on Nashville, Tennessee this weekend. You kind of like to think of Vandy as the GPA school of the Southeastern Conference, but now Coach Derek Mason's got this team with a little bit of a football prowess, so should be a fun one.
Well, James Franklin taught us otherwise. He showed us that it can be done at Vandy, 9-4 back-to-back a few seasons before he took off for Penn State. While much of the SEC is focusing on that other 3-0 matchup, Georgia taking on Mississippi State, there's another 3-0 matchup in the conference with Alabama, of course, going to Vanderbilt. Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama, joining us each and every week to talk Tide. You can also join him on his show that launched back in July, The Way It Is, talking up SEC football and Alabama, Auburn in particular. The Way It Is, 2 to 4 Central Time each and every weekday. And, of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel and catch my conversations with Stephen and other of the best bloggers and broadcasters across the country. The audio version you can catch on iTunes, Podbeam, and Stitcher as well. All right, when we look at the Commodores, and I sneaked a couple peeks at this game, even though there were some bigger games going on. Nationally ranked Kansas State comes to town, and I've got a Big 12 guy that I have on frequently, Stephen, and he just dismissed this 4-point spread and said, you got to be kidding me. Kansas State's going to go in there and clean their doors, and they're so much better. And I said, just hang on just a minute. This Vanderbilt squad with Ralph Webb at quarterback, Shermer at quarterback, playing much better down the stretch last season, and the defense is always going to be solid. And I kept checking in, and I saw Vanderbilt continually wrapping up tackles, putting pressure on the quarterback, doing all the right things on defense, nobody getting away from him, no blown coverages, again, tackling in space, gang tackling, just typical Vandy football. Didn't make the mistakes on offense, didn't light it up, but also didn't make the mistakes, and they win a Vandy sort of football game at home, 14-7.
You got to give Derek Mason and that staff a lot of credit. Bill Snyder prides himself on guys being well coached and sound and fundamental football. And the fighting Bill Snyder may not recruit a lot of 4- and 5-star guys, but what he can get, he brings the most out of them. And for Vandy to beat a Kansas State team soundly, you bring up Kyle Shermer. The kid's growing in confidence. And I've said this a number of times. Kyle Shermer, to me, is the next Jay Cutler for Vanderbilt. He may not be on the Jay Cutler plateau yet, but he's getting close. This is a kid that he's got a lot of arm talent right now, leading the SEC in passer rating and overall QBR at 91.0 right now, leading the conference in completion percentage, 71%. He's got 8 touchdowns to no picks. And I go back to last year, the Commodores started the year at 2-4. And everybody thought, okay, this is typical Vandy. They're 2-4. They suck. They're going to tank. Here comes the tank. Here it comes. And Andy Lutwig, Kyle Shermer got on the same page. They finished the regular season 4-2, a complete 180 from the 2-4. They go 4-2. You beat Georgia, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, and you make it to a bowl game. You knock the door down, you make a bowl game, and they brought that same energy into this season. And you can't say enough about Derek Mason calling the shots on defense. They got a guy in Charles Wright who's got 6 sacks. I think that's second in the country according to ESPN. He's got 7 tackles for loss. Oren Burks, the hybrid linebacker safety, plays pretty well. You got Ladarius Wiley, a strong safety on the back end. Vanderbilt's got some talent on both sides of the football. For Jalen Hurts, the question will be, can he hit these receivers early and often? Can the receivers create separation? And also for Alabama, can it establish the run game early? Vanderbilt very stingy in the rushing attack. So can Alabama establish the run early, especially on that right side? Damian Harris has done a much better job this season, running with a bit more purpose, a bit more passion, a bit more vigor. I mean, yes, Bo Scarborough brings a lot. Josh Jacobs finally healthy, he brings a lot. And then you have running Jalen Hurts. But if Alabama establishes that ground game early against Vanderbilt, will be a huge key for the tie. But the Commodores, once again, this is not old Vandy. Toto, you are not in Kansas anymore. The bottom feeders of the SEC are pushing back, and that's a scary thing.
Yes, Vandy playing its formula to a T in upsetting Kansas State last week. Again, the kicking game in order. The offense didn't turn over the ball, and the defense did its thing, as we have seen by the better Vandy teams under James Franklin, and then what they performed down the stretch, as Stephen just outlined. Again, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Georgia. Yes, you can say that those three teams were down last year, especially Georgia and, of course, Ole Miss, and only winning 5 games, but the talent or the perceived talent differential, substantial. And Vandy beating those 3 teams down the stretch speaks volumes of what Derek Mason has been able to accomplish. He seemed overwhelmed the early portion, especially of his first year, but the entirety of his first year for the most part, and finishing at 3-9. But he's turned it around rather quickly. And even the win over Middle Tennessee State that went up to Syracuse and won a football game right before that also tells you a lot about Vandy's progress. We got Stephen M. Smith on the line, as we typically do, for Alabama football talk as we prepare for the SEC opener with the Tide taking on Vandy. Our full-length conversation, you join on Podbean, iTunes, and Stitcher. Just search Mark Rogers TV, or you can check the individual topics. Just subscribe to my YouTube channel for the best in college football coverage. Join Stephen on The Way It Is. It's Fox 97.9, weekdays, 2 to 4 Central Time. Stephen, we always appreciate the time.
No problem, Mark. Excited for Alabama Vandy.